we ask you pause until the end of the speakers are done before those questions. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Athletic Director John Wildhack to begin today's press conference. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We're happy that you joined us today. It's an exciting day for our university, our community, our athletics department, and our women's lacrosse program. And I want to welcome Coach Thorpe, and I want to welcome his very enthusiastic family to today's press conference. I want to thank the members of the search committee who worked tirelessly and quickly throughout the search process, and it was exhaustive. But Herm Frazier, our Senior Deputy AD, Kirsten Ellaby, our Deputy AD, Senior Women's Administrator, Kevin Morgan, our GM and Chief Revenue Officer, who's got deep experience in women's lacrosse, and Mary Graham, Professor in the David B. Falk College of Sport, and our Faculty Athletics Representative. We were very demanding, and I was very demanding of their time, and they were very giving of their time, and I'm thankful for the work that they did. The candidate pool, it's really important to note, the candidate pool is deep and impressive, and I want everyone to know in the Orange Nation that the head coach of this program, this is a job that is coveted nationally. This is one of the best jobs in the country. And it was underscored by the quality of the candidates that we had. And while the candidates were impressive, Regy distinguished himself through the process with his detailed, and I underscore detailed and comprehensive vision for this program. From player development, player engagement, recruiting, coaching philosophies and principles, commitment to academics, commitment to the community, community engagement, our alumni, and our donors as well. It was really, really impressive, the vision that Regy shared with us. And his vision is complemented by his outstanding coaching career. 2 NCAA championship games, 8 Final Fours, and 13 NCAA tournament appearances. And most recently, Regy was instrumental in elevating the Florida program to consecutive Final Fours. And his college coaching career, as distinguished as it is complemented by experience coaching on USA national teams as well. Now, we all know of Regy's accomplishments as a player at Syracuse, 2-time national championship and team captain. So there's a theme here, whether it be as a player or whether it be as a coach, Regy has a track record of winning. We have very specific and lofty goals for this program, is to compete and to win ACC championships and national championships. And we've been really, really close to winning the Natty, and the person who is going to be there and guide this program and is the right person, the right leader at this time to accomplish those goals is Coach Thorpe. So it is my pleasure to officially introduce the new head coach of Syracuse women's lacrosse, head coach Regy Thorpe.
Thanks, John. Trying to hold my excitement in a little bit. It's just great. It's great to be home, right? It's great to be home. It's been a long time, and just super excited to be here. I'd like to thank John, Herman, and the entire selection committee for giving me this opportunity of a lifetime. I'd like to thank Amanda O'Leary from the University of Florida. And especially the players and family for an unbelievable 4 years at the University of Florida, so thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge Coach Caitlin and Coach Maggie for their commitment to the players and family, through this transition. They've been absolutely awesome, and I'm not sure, how many of you know, but in my first couple years at Syracuse, I was coaching with Maggie, and the latter part of my year when I left with Coach Caitlin, AKA Defo. So we have a lot of synergy. We know what each other brings to the table. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. So super excited. It's been a pretty busy week and a half, but we're cranking. So excited about that. So thank you, guys. Huge thank you to the Cuse family, the alumni, community, fans, parents, and all the staff here at Syracuse. Everyone's been so welcoming back, so it's just great to be home, and it's great to be back, so thank you. Big thank you to my wife, Amy. I mean, she's been through it all. I mean, a coach's wife, I mean, the ups, the downs, but she's been there. I mean, she's been the presence and the calmness of, you know, all my players in my teams throughout my coaching career, so a huge part of that. She's just a rock of our family, so thank you, B. To my daughter, Ella, she's a very, very proud SU alumni. Not many fathers get an opportunity to coach their own kid, let alone, I think we went to, 5 Final Fours, 2 championship games, so just unbelievable memories that I'll cherish for a lifetime there. Ella just got married this past October, so I have a new son-in-law, Blaze. I actually coached Blaze with Team USA, and I'm trying to figure out that timeline of when they met the last 7 years, but so proud of them. They're great teammates, great people. To my son, Gail, he's my best friend. I mean, so proud of the man he's become. He's my bounce back. We talk about everything, you know, and any decisions that I make, you know, I usually talk to my best friend, so love you, Gail. To my father, Earl, you know, he's 83, still getting up at 4:30 in the morning and does more before 11 a.m. than most of us do all day, so he's pretty old school, but taught me about work ethic, loyalty, family, character, and so much more, so love you, Dad. To my mom, we lost her a year and a half ago, but she never missed a game, always there, always smiling. You know, it's hard that she's not here today, but I know she's watching, so love you, Mom. To my brothers, Rick, Rory, Rod, yeah, I'm the youngest of 4. You learn to toughen up when you're the youngest of 4 brothers, so, but they always got my back and always behind me and my family, so thank you, guys, love you. To my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Gail and Marcy, you know, it's been a great 30-plus years, so thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. And then to my coaches that were in my life at critical times. My high school wrestling coach, Mr. Fruit, taught me mental toughness, preparation, organization. To Coach Paul Wareham, my junior coach, gave me an opportunity to come play for him and allowed me to live my dream to come to Syracuse, got me to Syracuse. He was a father away from home, made me a better person on and off the field. So thank you, Coach Wareham. And then Coach Roy Simmons Jr., who stuck with me through the junior college process. He never quit on me. He taught me so much about life and was certainly the master motivator. So all 3 of those Hall of Fame coaches forged me who I am today. You know, there's been so many other coaches along the way. It's tough to mention them all, but thank you, thank you, thank you. And then a special one, you know, Coach Gary Gate. What's a press conference without Coach Gate, right? So Gary and I knew each other from afar, but I retired from playing professional lacrosse, and I became the general manager of this professional team, the Rochester Nighthawks, the team I played for. We had a lefty go down with an ACL injury, and I was thinking outside the box a little bit. I'm like, well, Gary's in town. He's back coaching at Syracuse. So showed up at his office. The office used to be on the 2nd floor. I know he's back up there with the men's now, but when the old women's, he was back up around in that middle office there. So went up there and lured him out of retirement for, I think, the 4th or 5th time. So. And then we became friends. There was an opportunity, came that fall. There was an opening on his staff. He called, I showed up to practice, and Maggie was there. She was actually in goal. She was a coach, but we were out, only one goalie, Liz Hogan. So, and I was like, Gary, I don't know anything about women's lacrosse, so sorry, Herm. I know nothing about women's lacrosse. And of course, Gary being Gary just says, it's just lacrosse. We just teach them have some fun. And he's like, you're starting Monday. So I started women's lacrosse and fell in love with it. And, you know, I owe so much to Gary for his out-of-box thinking and got me here to Syracuse. So I'm in love with women's lacrosse, and unbelievable career, and couldn't be more excited. You know, I'm not going to sit up here and say we're going to win a national championship, because if you're here, if you're at Syracuse, you expect to win a national championship, right? It's Syracuse lacrosse, right? Whether you're a coach, a player, a family, a fan, right? You don't make plans for the summer until after Memorial Day weekend. You just don't, right? You expect to be in the Final Four. competing for a national championship. And we're going to embrace that, right? We are going to embrace that, the fact that we're going to battle and compete for a national championship. And we're going to build around our pillars, right? The pillars that made Syracuse lacrosse one of the most elite schools in the country, like John said. Alumni. We're going to get our alumni back engaged and be a program that values our past, and we're going to lean on them for support. And then our fan base. We're going to continue to build and engage the fan base, right? Year in and year out, we lead the country in attendance. And then our community. Our players have strong impact and presence. Our players will have strong impact and presence in the community. And then the number one for us, right, is culture, right? We're going to build and bring in players that understand the atmosphere we want here, a culture that the families, players, fans, and community, and people all over the country are going to be proud of. Thank you to everyone for your belief, faith, and trust in me. Amy and I are so excited to lead this program and help bring the first national championship to Syracuse University women's lacrosse. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll take questions for either Coach Thorpe or John. Just raise your hand, we'll come around the microphone. We're going to start right in front with Brent.
Hi, Regy.
Start with Regy.
John mentioned it, you just mentioned it there, winning that national championship. It's a short list of schools that have done it in the last 20 years. It's like 5 schools. And you've been right there with Syracuse, you've been right there with Florida. From what you've seen, how do you get this program over that line and become a national championship program? What's the key ingredient for that?
You just have to be consistent. You got to be there to win it, right? And we were close in 2012, right? We lost a tough one to Northwestern, I think 8-6 down in Stony Brook, 2012, but we were right there. 2014 or 15, we're at Villanova. We're cranking. We're undefeated, right? Michelle Tumel ends up going down with an ACL, and hurt our chances there. But you got to be in the mix, right? And winning a national championship, having played, in championships that I've lost, in national championships that I've won, it comes down to some balances. The ball goes here, ball goes there. So you need some breaks too. You need to keep healthy. You need some breaks, but. We're just going to keep working, but you got to be there on Memorial Day, weekend to give yourself a chance to win.
Samantha, then Mario back.
Hi, Coach. I just want to know how you think your experience as a defender and a defensive-minded head coach is going to help you now as the head coach of the Syracuse women's lacrosse program.
Yeah, I mean, I actually coached, offense, at Florida, so I think. I coached defense here, but I also coached a lot of Tewaaraton-type players, coached a lot of offense, coached the minis, coached attack. So coached some draws, coached some goalies. So, a little bit of everything. But this past year, coming off a season that we lost 17 seniors at the University of Florida, offense was pretty young. So I jumped to that offense this year. We had great percentages, great, offense. I think we're number 6 in the country. So very comfortable on the offensive end, defensive end, and just wherever I'm needed. Yeah.
Mario?
Coach, you talk about those family values. Sorry, all the way back in the back here. You talk about those family values and being a kid from this area. Being a kid from this area, what's it mean to see, Felicia Leggett-Jack from this area, head coach, now you becoming a head coach, following in that footstep, so to say?
It's, when you're from the area, right, and it just means so much. You grow up, in the fall to winter months, right? You need a bowl game to kind of, get you going in winter, right? And then you need March Madness to get you through winter, right? And then you need the Final Fours to get you from spring to summer there. So, it just means more, right, when you're from here and you grew up watching, and it's awesome to see so many people that have moved here, and the people, and they're really, the community, it's so close, but it just means so much. You care, you got to put the extra work in, you got to go the extra mile. You got to over prepare. I mean, you're going to do whatever it takes, to bring a championship, especially the first championship to Syracuse, and I'm going to do that, and our staff.
This is a question for John, actually, if you could switch out. John, Regy was just kind of saying it, Coach Jack and Coach Autry and the alums that are here. You've drifted back to alums a lot. I know a lot, each one tells a different story, but
Right.
what was it about Reggie's connection with Syracuse that ultimately made you decide to bring him back
It
here?
wasn't so much the connection, it was just what he's accomplished and what I think this program needs, and that he's the right person to do it. And it's not, because somebody's an alum, they don't have an advantage in my eyes. If in some ways, I'm probably harder on somebody who's an alum. Coach Felicia's sitting there. She remembers the interview we did, 3 hours in an unnamed city in the Midwest where we grilled you. And Adrian and I, we had a meeting at my house for about 2.5 hours, and I grilled him. And we grilled Regy. So it's not, okay, you're an alum, you have an advantage. Yeah, you have an advantage in the sense you know your way around, et cetera, that type of thing. But that's not, if anything, I'm harder on the alums. But again, just, given what he's accomplished, and he mentioned he's coached offense, he's coached defense, he can recruit, he's been part of championship weekends. We talked to one coach who's one of the most successful coaches, current coaches, in the history of women's lacrosse, is one of the references. And her recommendation was incredibly impactful on me and the search committee. So we thoroughly did our homework.
Just to follow up on that, John, you mentioned that you had to do this quickly. When Coach Trainer took the opportunity at Penn State, what was that process like? Was there an effort to bring her back, or was it just something that you had to move on from?
It was, she had interest in Penn State. Penn State had interest in her. Penn State everybody handled it appropriately. Listen, Kayla's one of the greatest players who's ever played. She's a legend here. Had a terrific, 4-year run as head coach. It was an opportunity she wanted to pursue. We respect that. She'll always be a legend here. But it opened the door for us to bring Regy in to lead our program.
This is a question for Coach Thorpe. One phrase and saying that I've heard a lot in the women's lacrosse sphere, really sports in general, is that offense wins games and defense wins championships. I know that you mentioned that you have experience on both sides of the ball, but I just wonder, based on your experience as a player here on the defensive side, if that's a philosophy that you believe in. How important do you think a good defense is to be successful?
Crucial. I think any coach, in almost any sport would tell you that, but crucial, and Coach Caitlin, and Coach Maggie, Coach Caitlin, Coach of defense, Maggie with the goalies, we have a good nucleus returning all around, and we're really excited about the future, especially on our D side of the ball.
I'm going to go back in time a little bit. 4 years ago when the job came open here, and maybe, passed up on it. Have you used that kind of as motivation to where you are right now?
Yeah, it's just, life's about timing, right? And, it's, Amy and I were in Gainesville, Florida, and, we just signed a contract with Gainesville, so, or with the University of Florida in Gainesville, sorry, B. But just timing, right? And that was probably, 2 weeks, before the opening came up. So, things happen, but timing's timing, and we're very grateful for our time at the University of Florida. Unbelievable players and families, but couldn't be more excited to be back at my dream job.
Regy, you touched on the culture of the program. I've talked to a number of former players that played for you, and there's a theme that develops. They say you bring a lot of dad energy to the mix. Can you still do that as a head coach, or do you have to kind of change the approach at all, or how do you build a culture now that you have that title?
Well, dad energy is better than bad energy, right? So, I don't know. It's, John and Herm and the selection committee, they ask your coaching style. It's, you're a coach, you're a dad, I know the kids just want to feel valued. And at the end of the day, you can have those tough conversations with student athletes, with their parents, if they know they care about your kid. And I think that's just, I was raised by my parents and my family, and how Amy and I have raised our family, be good to everyone. And, everyone has a role in life and that. So, but yeah, it's a different seat, but honestly, it's lacrosse, it's culture, and I think it's, it's a little easier for me with experience, and nothing's easy, right? My mom always said nothing's easy, but it's something I do every day, so I feel very comfortable with that.
You mentioned Coach Watkins and Coach Maggie that you were with. Have you made any decisions about your staff at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we've retained him, so I'm so excited about that. With all my 10 years as coach, I was either with Coach Maggie or Coach Kalen with Coach Gates, so we have a lot of synergy, and we're looking to working with HR and compliance to fill out our staff and add another person.
Coach, I also spoke to one of your former players this week who played for you at Syracuse, and Allie Trice, and she said that you had great pregame speeches. I just want to know how you go about, those pregame speeches and maybe just forming and building relationships with your players.
Yeah, it's just something over the years. I see Coach Gate over there. It's when I first started coaching here. And I'm like, hey Gary, we need to pump him up a little bit. He's like, it's just lacrosse. I mean, but Gary's a 1%er, right? He's the best player in the world. So, he can just go out there and score like 6 goals. I'm like, well, sometimes the kids need a little bump. So we kind of started that, and Gary was very open to that, but the players were great. They're very accepting, and just but you kind of know when you need to push a button, right? I mean, all coaches do that. Sometimes they need a little jump in their step, and you can kind of feel a warm up, and sometimes they're good to go, so you back off a pregame. So.
A few more if anybody's got them. Back to Brent.
This one's for John, actually. So, John, in that exhaustive process you went through with Regy, and you mentioned the expectation of winning a championship, is there something in particular he told you about how he wants to run the program that made you believe that this is how we're going to do it and win that title?
I think 2 things. Recruiting. He loves to recruit, and you need great players. You ask any coach, you need great players. And then second is you complement great players with the right culture. And if you have great players and the right culture, you'll win championships. And I think Regy will do that. And the staff. And Coach Maggie and Coach Defo, it's awesome to have them, and they've done a tremendous job in the interim, so I'm very thankful to both of you.
Sorry to make you get up again.
Yeah, me sweating here. All right.
I just want to know maybe one thing that you learned from your experience and time in Florida that you thought was important that you're going to bring to Syracuse now.
Just how important culture is. I mean, it was when I started with Gary here, he was maybe 3 years in, 2 years, 4 years in his tenure here, and he already kind of established it. So, going to the University of Florida, I think just how important culture is to winning, right? And, sometimes you don't need the best players, sometimes you do, but, I think the culture just can drive any team with mediocre talent to greatness. So I think just culture.
What do you think will be a few of the pillars of your culture here at Syracuse?
Alumni, fans, community, and then just communication, transparency. I think that's what kids want. They know where they want to stand, and if they know where they stand, if their family knows where they stand, and you communicate with them, I think it's going to make for healthy relationships with the parents and the players.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yep.
Appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you.